Hello, good evening, good afternoon, and everyone. Welcome to the S.H.O.P, the social hub of positivity. Always excited to be presenting this little podcast because I'm always lucky enough, fortunate enough to be interviewing interesting people. Although anyone who saw the last one where I was being interviewed, or this might not be the last one when it comes out. Anyway, maybe I'm not the most interesting person. However, I've got a lovely gentleman with me today, Stephen Simpkins.
Yeah.
Stephen, how are you?
Yeah, all right, thank you. Yeah, great.
Do you like to tell these good people at home and abroad, bizarrely, what it is, how we know each other, and what it is you do?
Well, what it is, I used to be a electrician plumber, then I retired, and I thought to myself, well, I wanted to do a little bit of art.
Yeah.
So I decided to sort of get into that through the S.H.O.P art group.
Perfect. Where was the
Yeah.
S.H.O.P art group based? How long ago was that as well?
Now, that was probably about 10 years ago now, I think I started off.
Yeah.
And what actually happened is I wanted to do something. I've always been interested in art for a long time.
Yeah.
And when I was at school, I got my GCSEs and everything else and all
Yeah.
that. I got
In art?
I got an O-level in
Yeah.
art.
Yeah.
Then I thought to myself, well, then my father put me down a lot, so I never bothered.
Yeah.
So what I done then is, just before, as I retired, I went to the S.H.O.P art group on a Sunday,
Yeah.
and that was great, but I picked the wrong day. It was their AGM.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I went in,
Yeah.
knowing nothing. I come out being the treasurer of the S.H.O.P art group.
It happens, doesn't it? Well, fair play to you. That's
Yeah,
good,
and
though.
there was a guy there named John Harris. He's deaf in one ear. He's a nice guy, and he is the one that proposed to me. He said, "Hey, you could do it." I said, "No." He said, "You could do it." So, and we've been friends ever since.
Mm.
It's been great. So, yeah, and so then I started there for a while, and I got fed up being the treasurer there. So then I went to the S.H.O.P art group, and then I've been a treasurer there ever since. I'm still the treasurer now. And I help run the S.H.O.P art group. And also I did go to the little Somerford art group and helped a bit there as well. So
Fantastic. Where does the S.H.O.P art group meet then?
S.H.O.P.
Well, that would make sense.
S.H.O.P, yeah. what I mean is, it's a village hall.
Oh, fantastic. We've done loads. In fact, the first ever
Village hall,
project as Can Do we ever did was with the National Trust in S.H.O.P and the community, and we used the village hall. It's amazing. We've used it a few times since.
Yeah.
Great little place, that, isn't it?
Yeah,
Great community.
It's not bad at all.
So what's your connection with S.H.O.P then? Do you have a connection?
Well, not really. It's just that a friend of mine, a couple of people I knew that was in the S.H.O.P art group at the time.
Yeah.
So then I decided to sort of go there and give it a try out.
Yeah.
And I found it's more of a group that helps people to move on. Somebody that don't know anything about art, they can come along there knowing nothing, and we help them all the way through the process.
Perfect. So
Yeah.
explain to some people who might be sitting and watching this and thinking, I'd like to get a bit more involved in art. I do some, maybe they do some at home, done some from the lockdown. They want to get some helpful tips. I know there's YouTube and everything else, but some people find that totally impersonal, don't they? So what would be a typical sort of meeting, and what would happen? What would you do?
Well, what we'll do is if somebody comes along to that group and they don't know much about, now they've got to go on the waiting list to come along because we've got so many members that want to be there.
Wow, that's great.
And what we do is they come along. A typical example, before the lockdown, I was doing a painting there, trying to work something else. A new guy was there. He's only been there about 3 weeks. Hardly picked a paintbrush up in their life. And they come along and I said, well, could you give me your opinion on this? He said, I can't. I don't know nothing about it. I said, give me your opinion.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not sure what direction I go. Just give me your opinion, what you think. He said, well, there's a bit here and a bit there. Maybe I want a bit of shadow. And I said, you know, you're right. He went away, chuffed the monkeys. Yeah.
So that would be it. So you'd support each other.
Oh,
Would there be a group of
yes.
people? Do you ever do things like have a central focus, maybe do a still life?
Yes, we do.
All right. So and how often do you meet?
Yeah. Well, 'cause at that time, we used to have a demonstration once a month.
By who?
And also
By a established artist?
Yeah, by an artist come along. Or sometimes we'd have a workshop.
Yeah.
And the sort of thing we do is we might sort of grab somebody from the club and say, okay, you do something this particular Thursday evening.
Yeah.
And it could be a still life, it could be anything.
Brilliant.
Or you might end up doing using them as a sit down and do a portrait of them or whatever.
Yeah.
And we do all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
And one thing I'd done before the lockdown is I got local junior schools involved.
Brilliant idea. Brilliant idea.
Yeah.
So how do they get involved then? What would they do?
Well, what I done before the Christmas period, for our Christmas exhibition, I used to go to a junior school, or basically started at Redland School in Chippenham, and my granddaughter was there initially, so I went there to do a couple of training sessions with the kids, under 11-year-olds. And I thought, well, how about if I set a competition up?
Great
So
idea.
what I'd done with the Chipman group, with the Laycock Art group I meant, is I said to them, this is what I want to do, because I'm on the committee. And they said, yeah, if you want to do it, fine. And what that is I got 3 trophies, rosettes to 6th place, and a rosette to any child within that school that wanted to enter.
Yeah.
And then we put all their pictures up in the Laycock Art Group exhibitions, and then the public came in, voted, and then at the end of that we add all the votes up, go back to school, and then we give the trophies and prizes out.
Wicked. That's brilliant.
We've done that a few schools.
Yeah. So so you said there's a wait list, but do you have to pay to be part of the group? Is there a cost involved?
It works out around about £2.50 a week.
Right. And would it be open most weeks throughout the year, or do you have a time off and is there breaks?
All we have is about 2-3 weeks off a year.
Yeah.
That's over the Christmas period.
Yeah.
We run straight through them.
Wow, that's
And
amazing.
you set that up too.
Yeah. That's amazing. So, do you do socials off of it as well? Are there socials? Like, do you, as an arts group, meet to go to galleries on the
Yes.
course? Do you?
We did.
Yeah.
But not so much now, because I was doing all the organising on that. I was arrange a coach.
Yeah.
And we might go to London.
Yeah.
Or we might go to Oxford, to the museums in Oxford.
Well,
Before the lockdown, we went to the Cardiff Museum and all down there.
So is it lockdown that stopped you during the trips?
We did, yeah.
So, but obviously now the way we know each other is because you're a stalwart, a big part of the social hub of positivity. We've literally now got our own massive gallery in Chippenham, which you're a part. Well, no, I know I have. We have collectively, which is something we're trying to advance into the Neald Hall. We're talking about a continuum, having a consortium. We talked at our meeting the other day about all those different people in Chippenham, the arts, various artists. When we had the meeting the other day about a variety of things, about not just the Neald Hall, but the various challenges we've got with the local council. But taking over the Neald Hall, not taking it over in any other way, but making it a community space. Running various classes, like you've said, because you've got major experience of that, and we have obviously there's Riverbank and lots of other different elements of people that want to use the Neald Hall as a community centre, a proper one. It's been way too corporate. Donna, who was at a meeting today, another thing, even people from the council are saying, there's a massive disparity of distance between the people that run, I don't know what it's like in any other part of the country, but as we work up and down the country, I've got a good idea. There's a massive disconnect between the people that pay the big bucks mismanaging at the top of our council and the actual people that live and work in the community. So having the community hub at the Neald Hall and in the cafe at the back where people are, well, you know what sort of people use this hub. What, has that surprised you, the amount of different people that have used the shop in Emery Gate?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
But also I find it's very great.
Yeah, but explain why it is, because
the thing was, is initially also before the lockdown, before I found out about Can Do,
Yeah.
I spent quite a bit of time with the Great Summer Thread helping out the disabled.
Oh, of course, we talked about that.
Yeah, I was there for a while.
Yeah.
Before that, I thought, yeah. But when I went there, and I was totally gobsmacked of how welcome and how appreciated those disabled people were. I really sort of hit me back a bit.
Yeah. Bless you. Yeah.
And what happened as well, because while I was doing art there, I was go there every Tuesday to help them do a bit of art. And I was trying to find a way how to actually interact with them, and a lot of them were struggled. But what I found, a simple little thing, like a painting I'd done, I thought, what can I do? And I thought, something they
feathers
can do.
and stuff that you did.
Sorry?
Can you do the feathers there?
Yeah.
Beautiful feathers.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
It wasn't me that done that. It's one of the residents done that.
Yeah.
And I thought, what I could do, I thought I put they threw the colours on the piece of board, and I got a chain. And I said, well, I can't do much. I said, you could do that. That's all they could do. Could do much, or pull the wheelchair backwards.
Yeah.
I said, grab this bit of chain. I said, I'll put it on for you, and you pull it back however you want to put it.
Yeah.
And then it came out. They were so gobsmacked, they started crying, and that was lovely.
Wow. And then you've done it here. You've done workshops and you've supported the people. We have a good cross section of people that come into the hub here, don't we?
Yeah, even some of the people here I've helped.
Yeah, I know.
And there was 2 or 3 people who come in. One lady came in, I can't remember her name, I use tracker names, was sitting down trying to do something, and I started helping her, and she's moved on no end.
Yeah.
And there's a guy that comes in who's a little bit depressed, and he's gone off and done things.
Yes.
And there's a lady here only a couple of weeks back, she was a young girl, she came in and went on the piano here. And she was playing there, she said, I can't do much. So I said, well, yeah, it's the music, have a try all this.
Yeah.
And she said, well, you're going to give that to me? I said, yeah, you can have that. I said, a bit of easy music I've already had.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
It is, and you've also brought in musical instruments. So for the young people, we work right across the community. So we have a Can Do for the people that don't know. We're a sustainable development organisation that looks at all parts of our society, all parts, national government, international, you name it. It's about sustainable development, so we're interlinking. But we have various segments of our organisation. One of them is the alternative education part. The other is the community development part, and that's the part that's pursuing the failings at local government. But Steve brings in instruments which we give out to those young people, and I've got to say how appreciative they and we are. But you also are helping coordinate stuff here. You're helping rearrange it, look after. We have quite a comprehensive booklet about how to run a social space. Have you managed to get through it all yet?
Not too bad. I've read some of it.
But
I've gone through it all.
You can now see.
It's just common sense.
Of course it is, but here's the thing. So we as an organisation who have been going so long have to, on the one hand, look at all the elements of the individuals that we work with on behalf, community in loads of different environments. All the health and safety action, child protection, the vulnerable people protection. Well, you've seen it. You've seen how comprehensive it is now. So imagine if you were someone outside of in the community wondering what it was how we ran, you would probably be thinking, oh, do they just work with kids, or do they was like, oh my God, they work with all these different people, organisations, and celebrities, and all sorts of people around the country. And yet they have to do all this, and rightly so, we have to do all this rigour around the health and safety, the insurance and everything else. It's a shame that we don't have in local office, for instance, people that are getting paid lots of money and who can't even tell us when the Neil Hall's been hired. It's an interesting, very basic thing that they can't tell us. But anyway,
they don't understand half the time.
No, they don't. Well, and I'm trying to point that out. It's like, look. If I wanted electrical problem or a plumbing problem, I'll probably ask you because I know that you spent years doing it. You know about it, right?
Yeah.
I would think you would do that in a community, in a society. You go, who actually knows anything about working in the community? Because obviously the local community council, community development officer for Chippenham doesn't have a clue. So everyone else is like, oh, who works in the community with hardest to reach? Oh, in all these different sectors and business sector and all these things.
Yeah.
Oh, you get them on board, wouldn't you?
Of course you would, yeah.
Of course you would, if you knew what you were doing or you had the best interests
yeah.
of the general public at heart. But if you haven't, you will possibly be shown up for who you are. Now, did you know that Chippenham Town Council have got in the wonderful museum a new, Melissa and all the fantastic people who work at the museum, they've got a new art space I think you should know about.
I didn't.
I want you to go and have a look up there,
Yeah.
get the inquiry, because you're the sort of person that's involved with lots of different arts groups, and you will be obviously part of the consortium to take over the Neil Tour, which is brilliant. But here's the thing. Spread the word about Chippenham Museum, because they are so trying to.
I do anyhow.
I know you do about the other bits.
A couple of people used to help there.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Isn't it fantastic? A fantastic
it's
museum,
place, yeah.
but that they're doing this public art space for artists.
They've changed it pretty regularly.
It's a new, exactly. It's a new thing. But we've got lots of information about Chippenham Museum in the S.H.O.P. This social hub positivity. Have a look and contact them and see what it is, and so you can give it out to all those artists. You must work with some. How many artists do you think you work with?
Oh, I lost count now.
Isn't it?
Loads.
It's loads and loads, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want you to spread the word about the good work that Chippenham Museum are doing, and that there's an access there to show work. I don't know what the criteria is, but they're really, really supportive. They're the sort of community initiative from the council that you can really work alongside. The rest, obviously, we're going to go through with a fine-tooth comb and show the public just what we're not. What value for money we're getting? Should we just put it on that level? Anyway.
Well, there's so many people out there willing to help.
Absolutely, which makes me wonder how come with this hub, for instance, we haven't had any money from Chippenham Town Council, from Borough Lands, or from anyone else, right? It's run by volunteers for the community. We have children, babies coming in here with mothers and toddlers. We have.
Talked to them yesterday.
I know you did exactly. So we have every range of person comes in here. It's totally accessible because, and that's beautiful about it, we get brilliant help from Eagle One and Emery Gate and all the staff here. As you know, all the security guys are amazing here. Look after us, of course, look after us no end. And various shops and individuals. But we work right across. We don't have any paid posts here. We've got a whole thing of people that are, as you know, DBS, so that they're officially and safely vetted. We have insurance. Each person has their own insurance. We have all these different places, but no money from Chippenham Town Council, from Wiltshire County Council, from Borough Lands. How exactly? But how can we run such a big organisation, big thing here with all these different people without draining the public purse at all? And yet there's
volunteers.
Because people are motivated, that's why. How come all that we were given, donated all the furniture? I wonder what other hubs there are in the locality that could boast that it's actually run by the people for the people, not taking public money, hasn't got loads of funding from all different areas that shouldn't have done. Even during the lockdown, when we were working as key workers in the community, we were refused or delayed payment for the work that Chippenham Town Council asked us to do with young people in the town, and they still owe us the money, by the way. Chippenham Town Council, beautiful. Matt Kirby, how are you doing? Here's the bit. Well, it's just bizarre, isn't it? It's laughable. It's laughable. We were asked by Chippenham Town Council to do a project, and then they don't pay us. Now, the county council did, but they only paid us half, so we're missing half. Now, again, I'm just comparing and contrasting because I want to really to exalt the good practice of people in the community as opposed to the people that get paid loads of money and don't do what they're supposed to do. So part of what we're doing now, as we had that meeting the other day, is exposing that. Because we have to, otherwise these people stay in post and the money gets just frittered away. I don't even think the people that, I don't know this, allegedly, the person that's the chief executive here who used to be somewhere else and wasn't particularly popular there either, doesn't live in Chippenham. Now, you might say, well, he doesn't have to, but they make so many decisions, particularly the ridiculous decisions, writing the letter about the HIF bid. Do you know about that?
I heard about that.
Oh my goodness, I mean, he had no authority or jurisdiction to do it, and yet no one appears to be holding him to account for that. So this is part and parcel of why all these things are interlinked and why as you say, if you've got a community initiative that is run by the community for the community, they're people that should be running the Niels Hall and the cafe, etc., and not people that drain the public purse.
No, I agree with that. Yeah. There's one thing I think I would have. If I knew about Can Do Art a few years ago, I would have joined years ago.
Oh, mate.
I never even knew it existed until I came in here earlier this year and the shop was open.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad about that. I'm sorry, I'm glad that you didn't know us before, but we're so busy working with the hardest to reach.
Yeah,
and
I knew you were there.
You could access, because what we do is specialised work, working with the hardest to reach here. Obviously, in the term time, part of it is our alternative thing. Then in the evenings and the weekends with different other members of the community at different parts of what we do, and then up and down the country. But I have to say, on behalf of us, we're really glad that we met you. Yeah. You're the type of person, and all the other volunteers here, that make society and communities tick. And I don't mean that tick, I mean tick in the proactive way, and are absolutely the sort of people that make society, like the women from the Women's Institute did that beautiful.
Oh, that was awesome.
Wasn't that?
That's
unbelievable.
Awesome.
And you look at each of those poppies, the poppy cascade, and maybe put a photograph of it. Yeah. Unbelievable.
All done by knitting.
Yeah, all done by knitting by 4 different branches of the Women's Institute. Now,
it was absolutely awesome.
There you go. And then so that's the type of initiative and the stuff that you've been doing with helping out here and volunteering and supporting vulnerable people, right? Yeah. That's what our society needs more than ever. We've got a massive, as you can see here, we witnessed it, upsurge of people who are coming out of the woodwork now with mental health issues. Meanwhile, we're having our time distracted by people who are getting paid something like £85,000 a year to not carry out their role in an appropriate way. So let's see how this ends up, everyone. Stephen, on behalf of the society and community that you live in, from me, all at Can Do Arts, and all the people that love you who come into the shop, you're a stalwart, you're a member of the community.
I enjoy it, I really do.
Well, we're going to put in this podcast some of your selection of art, so that people can see how stimulated you are by different subject matter and everything else. Put it there, brother.
Fantastic.
You're an absolute G.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's a wrap.